Fairness in the way a lot of you all describe it doesn't exist. And it's never existed. And it probably will never exist as long as we have free choice. And let me explain what I mean. When people say X, Y, or Z is not fair, what they mean is they believe that the outcome does not reflect what they consider a balanced society. That's my definition I'm working on for this video. Now, in order to get to that conclusion, though, you got to skip over a lot of things. Like, in order to look at the world in a way where you expect fairness, you have to be the product of an unfair world. You have to have the privilege to expect fairness, because people who are born at the very, very bottom rungs of the ladders of society, like the basement level. Some of y'all don't even know what the basement is. When I say basement, I mean like you grew up with no running water. Like you grew up where food is not something that you think you'll have every day. Like a lot of those people do not grow up with the expectation of fairness. So in order to even expect fairness, you already have to be the product of imbalance. See? And therein lies the rub, because in order to expect such a thing, you would have to acknowledge that you yourself received unbalanced treatment. Do you think it's fair that you grow up for those of you who are in the United States, that you grew up in the United States of America? Some people will never see this country. Some people will never know what it's like to choose between two different color socks. Like some people will never know what that's like. Yet you are here and you complain about fairness. When you say that so-and-so got the promotion, this is just an example. So-and-so got the promotion above me. They don't do as much work. That's not fair. What you're indicating, at least to me, is that you believe that you deserve more. See, we only talk about fairness a lot of times when we talk about enhancing our own status. And unfortunately, the status that you have is something you're neglecting when you talk like that. If the world that some of y'all want existed, it would only exist to serve you. And if that's the case, is it really fair? If fairness is only, exuded in the areas where you feel like, people are dishonest, systems are dishonest, systems are, imbalanced, then there would be no choice or world at all. In order to demand fairness, you have to skip over, your own special treatment. Now, the other part of it is, as long as we have free choice, as long as we're able to choose between one thing or another, the world will never be fair. I know some of y'all believe that you can shame enough people through, social media and just policy. You could shame enough people to make them conform to what you believe is the right thing to do. I'm telling you right now, that doesn't work. All that it does is create bitter people who still think that you're wrong, and they exude their unfairness. They play that out behind closed doors. It's still going to happen. It's just not going to happen where you can see it. All you're doing when you cleanse the world, of unfair treatment is you're putting it in a different box. That's all you do. And as long as people have the ability to say, no, I don't want to do that, they have the ability to make things unfair. So in order to truly make the world, have these equal outcomes, because that's what a lot of people mean when they say fairness, they mean equal outcomes. In order to get to equal outcomes, you have to destroy choice. And that's why the world that you want doesn't exist when you talk about fair, because most people are not going to make that trade. Now, I know a lot of people have been convinced of such, in late years, and giving more power, giving less autonomy to themselves, more power to government entities. But the vast majority of people are not going to make that trade. I am not going to give up my ability to choose what's best for my family so that you can have what you believe to be fairness. Because one, that's unjust, in my opinion. And two, it's not actually fair. It's just your made up definition of this generation. So understand, if it bothers you that the world is what it is, before you complain, Look at what you got. There's a reason on this channel why when I talk about my life, I do not do so in order to complain about circumstances. I will brainstorm. I will tell you what I'm trying to do, how I'm trying to get better, but I'm not about to sit here and tell you, woe is me, I need help. Because I've been given an opportunity that's so vast, so great, that most people would kill for it. And when you lose sight of that, you start to look at what you don't have versus what you got. Another example, just a quick one for y'all. YouTube, all right? When I first came back to YouTube, I joined a couple different Reddit groups, right? And all of them are about how to become a better YouTuber when you're new, right? So like they talk about just simple stuff. What kind of thumbnails work, what kind of titles work for your niche, length of videos, long form versus shorts, learning basically how YouTube works so that you can optimize a little bit better. Here's what I learned though, after being in there for like a month, and I haven't been in there for a while. Most people think that they are doing everything they should do, and when they don't get the outcomes they want, they assume that it's being done to them. They assume unfairness, okay? Everyone thinks that they have the best, most optimized, most entertaining YouTube content that exists. And the problem is not with them. No, it's with everybody else. So when you go in there, if you go into one of these Reddit threads, you'll see there's a slew of posts of people saying, well, why am I being shadow banned? Why is there this, and this on YouTube? Why does this YouTuber have more views than me and their content isn't as good as mine? See, we believe that we are the arbiters of fairness, and we rarely stop to consider that the rest of the world has an idea of what that means too. And most of the time, it's not what we believe is the right thing. Like most people's idea of fair is not what you think fair is, because all of our ideas of fair usually have us at the center. So again, before you assume that the world is out to get you and you start to go down this woe is me path, you start to talk about how the system needs to change and, you being oppressed and all the things that, are very popular in modern day. Understand that when you talk about fairness, when you assume a lot of things about the world you live in, you are doing so from a place of privilege. To even be able to open your mouth and discuss these things out loud is a privileged position. And I recognize that every day when I wake up, I have a family that's fed, I live in the greatest country in the world, and I get to choose what I do every day. That's a privilege. No one's doing anything to me. And what's really not fair is that some people don't grow up with that. Some people don't ever have that ability. Some people don't have a choice. As long as you have choice, you have fairness. That's my definition. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all ponder that.